Yeah, this should be interesting for those considering running the side draft Weber DCOE style carburetors on a classic Mini. You know, there's no denying the visual appeal of these carbs. They've been around for decades in various forms. They just look right on these engines. A lot of people like the sound, the way that they respond to throttle with the accelerator pumps in there, unlike the SUs, which work fine on these cars but don't have that immediate response of simply throwing fuel down the throats. But on a Mark I like this, it is really a tight fit. You know, people don't always consider the difficulty they're going to encounter, and this is a good opportunity to have a look at a couple of these slightly different ones that we happen to have here as we try to put our 67 back together. This is one that I had bought years ago. I actually tried to put it on our Moke project most recently. It's just too long. The manifold is quite ideal. It's a longer type. It puts it up at a slight angle, which, you know, we could make this work if we pulled the velocity stacks off and put some very flush filters, but that takes away some of the advantages. And it's just good here to show the difficulty and the slightly different ways these can look, and yet the huge problems you can encounter if you want to install one without having to really cut up the car. We can see that velocity stack there. If I can get light, it's just sitting on the speedometer cable. There's just nowhere for this to go. And you can see here we're not even really bolted up. I've got this thing sitting on top of the studs with our engine steady installed. So that is where this engine's going to sit with the standard stabilizer dog bone. You can get longer ones, you can finagle it around, but you run into problems then with, you know, clearance to the alternator. You don't have a whole lot of room here to move that engine back and forth. You start losing your alignment of the fan with its shroud on the fender. Just not worth it for a street car. It's one of the reasons a lot of people that know Minis really don't like running these side drafts. There's a compromise here to be made that gives away some of its advantages, and you deal with issues like we have on this car. There's this piece of dyno mat that lives back in there, but really that doesn't do a great job blocking out fumes and the sound of those throats right there. Yeah, it's cool, but you know, you want to be able to drive these without having the fumes put you under. It's a chance to look at these because I happen to have both here. Let me see if I can just pull this out of the hole. Boy, it's tight, whichever way you do it. Let's see, pull it down. Yep. And you can see we set it down next to the other one. Just very slight differences in the two. This manifold is maybe marginally longer, but some of that is just the different angle here. This carburetor definitely has the longer velocity stacks. This is an interesting piece. The reason I got it years ago, it's made by OER. It's a Japanese version of the long-lived Weber. This one here is a more recent DCOE 45 like you'd get if you bought a kit today. They're made in Spain, various places now. Originally they were an Italian carburetor. This one here, a Japanese model, has no choke circuit at all. Well, this more street-oriented version does have a manual choke enrichment valve. This one is more race-oriented, and so would be probably more difficult in a cold climate to live with on the street, in addition to all of its other quirks by being a big side draft like this. You know, one way to deal with this, let's continue here. You can see the speedometer hole. One of the things we hope to do is make a plate to isolate this better for people trying to do these on these cars. But boy, it is so close. The velocity stack, the air cleaner is sitting right in this cavity right here, right up against the bent-up dyno mat. So you'd have to really customize the shape of that and to leave any room at all for even these little teeny air cleaners to breathe. Right now it's pretty much sitting right on there, and if we were to fabricate a metal plate, it would cover most of this little air cleaner screen. It's just that close. This unit does bolt up. It fits in here. It's not up against anything, and this is what was running, and we'll put it back in. Runs really nice, but of course our air cleaners are right in behind the speedometer, We may have to make that a project for a future date. Let's just have a quick look since it's sitting right here. Of course, here's one way to deal with that side draft problem, is to go straight up. Now again, you can see that this Mark 1, this is a 66. The opening there is slightly different. This is our own Cooper Road Mini 66S. And we elected to go straight up. It's just kind of a wild engine, not really terribly streetable for most people. And of course the compromise there is a big hole in the hood. In our case, just velocity stacks open with these little air cleaners. So on a rainy day like today, this car does not go out. A good downpour would flood it out immediately. If you were sitting at a light, let's say, with these things pointed skyward, we'd have to come up with some sort of a side scoop or some kind of a rear opening cover to keep water out. But again, that's more of a compromise for a car that you actually want to be able to drive and park somewhere and not deal with, oh geez, is it going to rain on it. But here, this is a street car, and we'll get this carburetor that fits in here back together. Maybe we'll address trying to put some thick foil or something behind our dyno mat cover to see if that doesn't help with some fumes and such, and then address this at a later time. And we want to go after it as a project unto itself. All right, we'll pick one of our delicious carbs here and get this thing back together soon.